Welcome to Connecting to Spirit with Stacey, a weekly journey into the spiritual world with Evidential Medium Stacey Niedentohl. With nearly 10 years of experience offering transformative private, group, and platform readings, Stacey is also a passionate mentor, guiding students for over 5 years to unlock their intuitive gifts. She is the author of 2 impactful books, My Head Knows, But My Heart Still Hurts, a 30-day grief recovery journal, and My Crystal Addiction Diary, an exploration of crystal and stone energy for healing. So please welcome the host of Connecting to Spirit, Stacey Niedentohl.
Hello and good evening. This is Connecting to Spirit. I'm Evidential Medium Stacey Niedentohl, and we're streaming live on Bold Brave Media, Spotify, and other streaming platforms. If you've been following us the last couple of weeks, we've been working through and talking about angels and spirit guides and archangels. But this week, we're going to take a break from that. I'm so excited. I have a dear friend of mine who I met a few years ago, and she has such a compelling story. It is Felecia Burton, better known as author Doc B, and we're going to talk about not only her book but some of the journey that she's been through. And I hope you're as excited as I am to talk to her tonight. Please like, share, subscribe, and Felecia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Stacey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Yep.
How are you doing this evening?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk to
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, you've got such an amazing story and such an amazing book. And the last couple weeks, I've been talking about angels and archangels and how spirit gives us different signs and different things like that. And when I thought about who I wanted to bring on, I was like, oh my gosh, Doc B has such an amazing story of how you survived the 3 C's: crack, COVID, and cancer. There was definitely spirit on your side. There was a quote that you have, I think it's on your website, that said, "What was meant to kill me only made me stronger." Would you just, kind of
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you? And then we'll dive deep into, what's going on and where you've been and where you're going and all the great things that are coming for you.
Sure. Sure. Again, thank you so much for having me. My name is Felecia Burton, and I'm from Newark, New Jersey, born and raised, and moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to go to college and to enter into a life of recovery after the horrors of active addiction in this project's called Hyatt Court in Newark, New Jersey. And so from there, I went into school almost immediately. I went to school and began to study. Let me tell you this, one reason I went to school is because I wanted to find out why I smoked crack in the first place. And
Okay.
that's the only reason I went to school. And I ended up falling in love with education. It was almost like my addiction transferred from crack cocaine to now being in love with education and wanting to educate myself and just be better and better and better.
Right. You had said that there was a quote that I read that says, empowering people to overcome challenges and transform their lives. And I mean, when you go from being
Yes.
addicted to crack cocaine to now counseling people in recovery, because you don't just have one degree, you have several degrees, do you not?
You are exactly correct.
Yeah, and I love
Yes,
that.
I
It's
do.
that story
Yeah.
that, you know, just because the addiction overtakes you, you can overtake it. You just have to want it. And I love how, you went kind of from one addiction to another,
And that's
from being addicted to
exactly what
crack to being addicted to education. Oh, there you are. You went away for a second.
Yeah, and that's so true, Oh, I did? Okay, I'm here. And,
There you are.
yeah, I did, and so nothing brings me more joy but, to help other people who, go through the transformation from active drug use all the way into a life worth living. And you had mentioned when you first came on about um, angels and spirits and things like that. Well, something's out there, you know, something's
Absolutely.
out there. Something is out there, and there's no way that this could happen for me and countless others without that something that is out there.
Right. Right. And you just
So
kept
uh,
getting
I
going
do
down
have.
for the punch.
Hmm.
You just kept being knocked down with
I
then
did.
cancer and then COVID. But that spirit inside of you, spirit was saying, we've got so much more for this woman. We want her voice heard. They had a better plan for you, but they had to get you quiet first. And
Hmm.
and I
Yes, I
was
believe
reading
that.
so much. Yeah, I was reading so much on your website about some of the experiences you had. I mean, you overcame your addiction and then you were diagnosed with breast cancer. Was it 2 years later or 3 years later? I don't remember what I read.
And so um, it was years later that I got breast cancer diagnosis. So I got clean in 2005, and I went to Philadelphia to get clean, and I ended up in college and got associate's degree in behavior health human services, then a bachelor's degree in behavior health counseling, and then a master's degree in psychology, and then um, educational specialist in leadership, a EDS doctorate program I completed. But right as I was going into my dissertation, that's when cancer came.
Okay.
And
Okay.
uh, and and I'm trying to complete my dissertation, and I couldn't. And this is the reason why DR is not in the front of my name. And I created a platform of author DOC B,
Mhm.
because
Okay.
DR can't be put in front of my name, although I did all this work, unless I go
Mm.
back and do the dissertation. But I've been so
Gotcha.
blessed to soar in my career. And I'm like, well, I don't think I need it right now. I don't
Mm.
think I need it
Mm,
right
I
now
like how you
because
say
I'm
that
doing so
right now.
much. And I
Yeah.
think if yeah, right now it's not. Yeah, just not right now. And I'm not saying later that it's just that it's some things that I know, some assignments that I have to accept now and that I am currently
Hmm.
doing that won't allow
Right.
me right now either to go back and do the dissertation. But I'm Doc B, and I am definitely a specialist in my category of addictions. I know that disease inside out and outside in. And then I caught cancer as I was finishing my degree. So I settled for the EDS instead of the EDD, um,
Okay.
which is the doctorate. And I could be called
Mhm.
doctor. I still complete the doctorate program, but became a specialist instead of with the DR. So, but I still love what I do, and I'm very passionate about it. And I help people internationally, actually, now, all over the world. And you
Oh,
have
amazing.
COVID to thank for that. Was,
Mhm.
I was
Okay.
able to go viral, as they say. The kids say you went
Mhm.
viral, and so, and now I'm taking my services, to the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, and I have a couple of clients in Africa, and just helping people everywhere. Wherever I just got a phone call last night from a guy right in DC who was trying to expand his brand over to the UAE and asked me to be the lead as far as making the referrals from over there to me over here.
Wow.
And of course, I accepted the commitment to help people. And that's just, I know that's my calling, that's my assignment, that is my ministry, some say,
Right.
you know?
Right. Well, that's your spiritual path. people, ask me all the
It
time,
is.
what's my soul journey? What's my spiritual path? And I'm like, what are you the most passionate about? What gets you up in the morning? If time and money were no object, what would you want to be
Yes.
doing? And this absolutely, I mean, I can
Mm,
feel the energy from you that this is like your life work. Something that tried to kill you, you're fighting back and you're teaching other people how to fight back as well. And then you came
that's
back from
right.
breast cancer and COVID hit you
Yeah.
and you were hospitalized and incubated,
Oh
correct?
my, that was COVID. COVID. Yeah, COVID is the one thing that I can honestly say that was the icing on the cake. That was the
Hmm.
thing that really told me that I had work to do and that there was no time to play. That I've earned all these letters and numbers behind my name, that I really had to get busy using them.
Oh, I
When
love
I
that.
didn't die, I thought to myself, yeah. But to me, let me say this. To me, getting treated for COVID was way worse than getting treatment for cancer.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
It
How
was.
so?
It was way worse than getting treatment for cancer. And and I said, if I beat a crack addiction and
Mhm.
I beat cancer, that became my motivation because I didn't die. That I knew I was going to beat
Mhm.
COVID.
Right. Right.
So crack didn't
Right.
kill me. Cancer didn't kill me. You mean COVID didn't kill me? I knew without a shadow of a doubt. If you go through chemotherapy,
Hmm.
that COVID wasn't going to win. And they didn't know what it was because remember, I got COVID when it first hit, the very first 30 days it hit the United
Mm.
States. I got it and had
Mm.
just finished cancer treatment a few months before.
Mm. That's
And so I
crazy.
had what they
That's
called
crazy.
underlining. Yeah. And they said, well, you have these underlining conditions that you might not make it because you have underlining, you just had cancer treatment. The blood wasn't even
Uh,
running through my veins appropriately yet. I
mm.
still had the chemicals inside my body from the chemo still working to kill the the cells that could possibly be around, hanging around from radiation treatment. Had just
Yeah.
finished. So they thought
Yeah.
I was going to die,
Hmm.
but I knew
Yeah.
I was going to live. I knew. I
Yeah.
knew.
You had a higher calling. You had a higher calling, and
I did.
the humankind, the human race, the doctors didn't understand what spirit was putting on you and
Yes.
in you to help with others. And you've got this huge story to tell and these experiences that you've gone through that makes you approachable to others who have gone through it, where you can say, listen, I survived this, and I
Yeah,
survived this. Get busy living instead of getting busy dying, you know? And your book that you wrote,
that's right.
um, about
Correct.
that, I mean, I wanna talk about that after we go on break here in a few minutes. We kind of unpack it, and I sent away for it, but I don't have it yet. When you and I first met, I was going to get it, and then I forgot about it, but I did order it. I just have to get it in my grimy little paws. So,
Okay.
everybody, I just want you to stay with it so you can hear more of author Doc B's story and about her book. And, like and share and subscribe. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting to Spirit. I'm Evidential Medium Stacey Niedentohl, and your connection to Spirit every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on Bold Brave Media, YouTube, Spotify, all your streaming platforms that are out there. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So tonight I have a very special guest. I have author Doc B. She is a life coach. She's an author. She's a family therapist. She's a survivor. And you know what? You need a Superman cape for all the things that you've been through. Thank you so much for hanging with us. So before the break, we were starting to talk about your book, The 3 C's. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, sure. The 3 C's is my first book. Today, I am a 3-time author, and the 3 C's became my brand. And so the first C is for crack addiction, the second C is for cancer, and the third C is for COVID-19. And I was writing the book, and I was going to do crack and cancer, and then COVID came out. So I stopped the press and wrote a new chapter called COVID Once I Woke Up and Lived, you know. The book is about my memoir, my life story. But what's significant about it is that it helps other people along the journey. There's a chapter 10 that talks about some questions about what would you do, and here's a complete prescription that if it helped me, it helped you. And I laid the prescription. I said, here's your script to overcoming, conquering, and surviving anything, and you too can live beyond your dreams, because that's what's happening to me. Living beyond my dreams. It's my memoir, but it is your self-help tools. It was Amazon's #1 book in October and November of 2023. And the first chapter, I love that book so much. I kid you not, I love that book so much, Stacey. Listen, I tell all the deep, dark secrets and all the things about the lineage and where I know I came from and how I know that I can survive, overcome, and conquer anything. I really gave it up from my grandmother, my great-grandmother, how they were all prayer warriors, and how I watched them, use survival skills and techniques throughout the years. I talked about some of the things I took from each one of my mother's 5 sisters as I grew
Mhm.
up, and how I knew. I mean, that stuff was inside of me, like planted. My one
Mhm.
aunt was the church, Aunt Dolores, just a church warrior. And her and my mom introduced me to God, and how I knew each episode, crack, cancer, and COVID, that God was still there, you know, and how I
Like
tapped into
Job.
that to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Aunt Edwina's street skills, her
Mhm.
feisty fighting self. I talked about all of that. My mom's hustling, gambling to make 6 children um, uh, live our best lives to the best of her ability. How she did
Mhm.
card games and fish fries and baked cakes and sold it to the neighborhoods. All of these things, these skills that I watched my aunts and my mom have over the years, was always inside of me. And each episode, crack, I reached for them. Cancer, I reached for them. COVID, I reached for them. And I believe today that is why I am alive and doing well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I talked
Absolutely.
about now.
Everybody always talks about generational curses. Well, if you are focused on generational curses, then they're going to follow you. But if you look at the generational lineage of the positive things in your life, and
Yes,
just
yes,
like you
yes,
said,
yes, yes.
reach for it in the time of need, it's going to be there. It's going to be there. That's that muscle memory
Absolutely.
that's in your DNA that you can't hide from. You know, spirit will
That
tap you
is
on the
correct.
shoulder and say, "Hey, remember what your aunt taught you? Hey, remember what your mom used to do? Hey, listen up. Wake up.
Yes.
Wake up." And rise again. I
Yes.
just I like I said, I love your whole story about that. It's wonderful that were on the Amazon top list for 2 months in a row. With my book I was Amazon top for 1 month, but hey, I'll take it. So you said to me though you have 3 books now.
Right.
Okay, so what are your other 2
I
books?
do. And so I'm glad you asked, because I actually bought them today. I did. I bought them
Beautiful.
today. And so my second book is it's a journal workbook for those less fortunate. Those are
Beautiful.
less fortunate to and can't afford treatment. So if
Mhm.
you can't afford treatment, I created a 30-day journal workbook. It's called Your GPS, your general
Mm.
practice, of survival skills. You have these skills that's inside of you, like I just said. And if you can't afford treatment, you can go on Amazon, order this book, and answer all the questions, and then write about them on the next page. Answer day 2, write about them in the journal on the next page. Answer day
Mhm.
3, right? And so it takes you on this journey to finding the survivor in you. And now you can give me a call, we can set up something, and now you can begin to thrive, because this is it. You have uncovered, yourself in this workbook.
Mhm.
And so it's
Mhm.
again your self-help tool. That hasn't made it to the
Yes.
top to Amazon best yet, but I'm sure it's on its way. Then this
Hey,
one
you
just
know
came
what? It
out. This
doesn't
is
matter.
hilarious. So I took a
Okay. Go ahead.
right, right. It doesn't matter. You're right. But I'm a
It doesn't.
numbers
If you're
girl, and that's
helping
just who
others,
I am.
I know, but I always look at the numbers of healers. If I can heal
There
the
you
world
go.
one person at a
And that's
time,
where I get
I
my
have
reward.
accomplished greatness, you know? And you're doing the exact
Correct.
same
Yeah.
thing. You're
Yeah,
healing the
that's
world
true.
one person at a time. So what's your third book? I'm sorry, I
Well, that's
interrupted
funny that
you.
you said that. No, that's okay, but
Right.
it's funny that you said that, because my theme has always been healing communities one family at a time.
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
addiction is a family disease. It's a family disease.
Yeah.
So I say healing communities, one family at a time. But I like your world. That's really great. So this last book is about, and it just came out a couple of weeks ago, my siblings, shenanigans, and truckside tales. And it's family chronicles. I mean,
Uh-huh.
how can I go wrong when talking about adventures and unplanned absences and things like that that took place
Mm.
in my life over the years? This book is primarily what took place in the last 20 years of my recovery, because I will be
Mhm.
celebrating on June 30th, 2025, 20 years clean, sober, complete
Oh,
abstinence for any mindful alternate substances.
that's
So
awesome.
I
That's
talk a
awesome.
lot. Yeah. Yeah. So I talk a lot about just reminding people that although there's chaos in your family, you have to look for the love. It's the love that keeps us together. Mommy passed away, which landed me in Atlanta, Georgia, to prepare for retirement, and who would have ever thought that it would still be the love that we all have. I see families fall apart when their parents are gone, and siblings don't
Yeah.
talk, and sibling rivalry, and arguing, fussing, and fighting over things. But well, that's not happening in my family. It's not happening for us, because the love and that mommy planted inside of us,
Mhm.
and the God that she made sure we knew and we
Mhm.
served. And my favorite thing that we were taught, and one, it's so funny because one reviewer, I put some reviews on the back,
Mhm.
said that, well, if you think that your life is mayhem, then you need to read this book, because there's some extraordinary things that Doc B talks about that can help your
Mhm.
family too. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
it may look like it's falling apart in your family system, but it's really coming together. And that's if you have love. It's all tied up in love. It's
That's
all
you're
wrapped up
exactly
in
right. And
love.
I
And
I
then once
use
I got,
the I use the example that a light
I
stick
was going to
won't
say,
light
once
until
I
you
got,
break it.
yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Once I
Yeah, you
got to
gotta
the
break it.
12-step program, because that's how yeah, you do. And the way that I maintain my recovery is through 12-step programs that I
Mhm.
attend. So once I got there and I actually experienced taking the 12 steps, and I'm now implementing that stuff in my life, spiritual principles like being willing
Mhm.
to put myself aside to help someone else, making sacrifices and things of that nature. Once I
Mhm.
did all of that, it was a given. I mean, a God given right
Mhm.
of mine to continue to be happy, joyous, and free the rest of my life. The rest
Right.
of
We
my
have a
life,
choice.
Stacey. And so if I don't pass that stuff down to my siblings, and I don't pass it down to my grandchildren, and I don't be able to begin to create the legacy, then what would I be doing? Why? What is all of this
Mhm.
for? What is the purpose?
Mhm.
I found my purpose in helping others. And that's what I do. So many different things. I also have a podcast called Bring It to the Table. I also,
Uh-huh.
besides being an author, I do workshops and Eventbrites. I also have my own private practice, called Doc
Mhm.
B's Behavior Recovering Coaching Solutions LLC. And I have so much going on for myself. I'm still up 10 o'clock at night every night working, and I'm up
I
4 o'clock, five
understand.
o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I understand
I'm
that.
not going to sleep until I get in the car. When I get in the coffin,
Mhm.
that's when I sleep. But I
That's
do
when you
have a
sleep.
balanced life. I
Mhm.
do have a balanced life, and I really work hard on balancing every day. Every day.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes, to balance your own life and then balance the passion that we have, to help others, because there's so many people out there who need
Yes.
help and they don't know where to turn, that I just want to, like, pull them all in and give them a big hug and say, "What do you need, baby? Let me help you. Let me help you."
I
You know?
know, right? It all
And
starts with that
I did
hug
a
too. Oh my God.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I did a live on my social media a couple months ago, and like a light switch went on because I was talking about the 12 steps of AA, the 12 spiritual steps, and then the 12 spiritual tools. And they are all the same. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, when you
Mhm.
live this life, you're always in
Yeah.
recovery from something, whether it's addiction, whether it's death, whether it's graduating
Yes.
school, whether it's being an empty, there's a recovery for every single thing. And when you take those 12 steps
Yes.
and you implement them, the 12th step, and I don't know it 100%, but it's, and having spiritual awakenings because of these. I'm like,
Yeah,
yes,
having had.
yes, having
Yes.
had,
Having
yes,
had a spiritual
yeah,
awakening, we carry this message to addicts in recovery, practice these principles in all
right.
our affairs. Yeah, and that's so true. It's so true.
Hmm.
And I think that when I bring in family members and I bring in loved ones into individuals' treatment that I provide services for, and I show them where their addiction is and the part that they played in their family members' lives that I'm currently responsible for and treating, it's mind
Hmm.
blowing. It will blow your mind when they go, oh, yeah, you're codependent too, and your disease is over here. And when it's all about educating them, it really is. Psychoeducation is
Yeah,
amazing. It goes a
yeah,
long way. I'm your CBT specialist. I'll show you your cognitive distortions in the New York minute. And
okay.
my expectation is
Whether you
that
like it or not.
you I do. I'll
Yeah,
do
you
it.
got to. Yeah.
And if you don't show and you don't educate the family, then your loved one is going to come out of treatment and go back into the home with you and commence to doing the same thing, expecting different results. That's not going to work. You have to be ready and
Mm.
prepared for this person to come back into your life.
Yeah, I mean, that makes so much sense. The addiction is the person's addiction, but it's the family's problem and solution. And unless you work
Correct.
together, that person is an island all by themselves. And I feel like, and I could be
Mhm.
wrong, you're the specialist, I'm not, but I feel
Yep.
like that when you don't bring the family into it, that's why so many people relapse. I'm just,
Correct.
I'm
And
just,
that's because the family is not educated enough to support. You
mhm.
have to be educated enough to support the individual that is going through this crisis.
Yeah,
And, and,
yeah,
and,
I
and it's
agree.
only one way to do that, and that's come into treatment.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to stop here for a second, but when we get back, I want to dive deeper into it and find out how people can get in touch with you and just, take all your little tidbits, all your big tidbits of wisdom so that other people know that they're not alone, that they can do it too. So we'll be right back.
Okay,
Hang out with us with Doc
no
B and
problem.
me, and we'll be right back.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network. Network and TuneIn Radio, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting to Spirit. I'm Evidential Medium Stacey Niedentohl with a very special guest, author Doc B. We've been talking about her book, The 3 C's. We've been talking about recovery. We've been talking about the things that she went through. And I want to, kind of touch upon when I was reading, it says about when that you're this transformational coach, because of your life experiences, you will obtain unconventional methodologies that will help you to overcome, conquer, survive, and gain recovery too. When you talk about unconventional, what are you talking about?
So I'm talking about things in the spirit. A lot of times treatment leave out spiritual things. And it was the 12-step program that taught me about the inner self, that recovery is an inside job. So I took the 12-step models. I took my clinical CBT, DBT, motivational interviewing, all these skills that I learned in college, psychoeducation and therapy techniques, seeking safety stuff, and put it all together. And that is unconventional. That is unbotched. Like, it's just not like anything you've ever heard, along with this new thing that just hit the market and blew up, peer stuff. So now I became a professional in recovery, working in the treatment center, and I'm bound by these ethics. It's professional ethics. So now, okay, you have to really feel your way through and go by your spiritual condition when you're treating these people, because you're bound by these ethics. Well, ethics says you should be able to provide therapy and treatment for people without telling them anything about yourself until you need to disclose it. You have to check your motive behind disclosing.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that's what I mean by unconventional. It's like it's like a combination of I'm not your one. All right. So in other words, you can have some people say, well, I'm your CBT person. My technique is CBT. And my technique is I use motivational interviewing. Well, I'll use seeking safety because, I work in a highly functioning autism or whatever. So it's really always about safety, or a highly disabled, whoever. I have this magic bag on the side of my desk that is full of tools and full of things that whoever comes into my office, I better be able to go in that bag and pull out exactly what they need. So it's the combination of way. And I hear it all the time that, boy, you got me talking. I never told anybody that before. Well, that's the one secret that you had that needed to be exposed. And that's why I disclosed about my addiction to you, or about something that transferred in this session, because transference is real. Spirits is real. It's
Right.
stuff will go transfer from you to me and from me to you. We're developing this relationship,
Right.
And so
Right.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Well, and I would think it would if I were the patient, the client, I feel like I would be more comfortable with someone who has been there. Book smarts are great, but the street smarts and the experience, because then you can tell when I'm BSing you. You know what?
Well,
It,
don't
it,
get
it
me
just
started with that. I'm telling you, don't get me started. Do not get me started. I'm gonna tell you
okay.
something. I'm gonna tell you, Stacey, because I get a lot of flack from my colleagues about boundaries over the
Yes.
years. I've gotten written up about you got boundary issues with the client, and you give too much and you talk with other people's clients and this, that, and the third. Yeah, well, I guess you're just gonna have to fire me and I'm gonna go down the street and get a job because I'm going to give the client the assistance that they need. My
They need.
ability to meet my ability to meet them at their level of need sometimes
Mhm.
surpasses. I'm talking about
Right. It's
surpasses a code of ethics, or it
yeah.
crosses the I'm okay with crossing over and going. That's transformational. Transformational is you cross over and you go in there and you join that client and you be with them on this journey. And I know
Right.
some clinicians is bound by the company policy. I'm not that girl. That is not me.
Right.
That is not
Right.
me. That's why I
Yeah.
have
I
a
mean,
large success rate.
yeah. I mean, I've had several therapists in my life. Some that I really liked and some that quite honestly pissed me off because all they could say was, "Well, how does that make you feel?"
How
And I'm
does
like,
that make
"Apparently
you
I'm
feel?
angry. Apparently I'm angry." And at that point in my life, I was numb because of the things that I was going through, so I couldn't put a name on the emotion. And I
Yeah.
remember about the fourth time this therapist said, "Well, how does that make you feel?" And I said, "Well, apparently I'm pissed off because you're fired." And I walked out. And then I found
Mm-hmm.
another therapist because they weren't meeting me where I was because I couldn't
Exactly.
say how I felt because I didn't know
Exactly.
how I felt. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
numb, I was lost, I needed direction, but I didn't know where to go until I found someone who met me where I was. And
There you
having
go.
known that she had gone through a similar abusive relationship that
Mm-hmm.
it made me think like, okay, I'm not the only one because it was this dirty little secret for so
Right.
long. And if she's not sharing with me, then she's got this dirty little secret, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So I mean, integrity is a big thing, and I understand integrity. But to me,
Mm-hmm.
ethics in counseling, as long as integrity boundaries aren't, but it's in a box. It's in a
Yeah,
box.
it is. And
Crack
it
doesn't
really
know
pisses me off.
integrity.
That's why I started my own practice. And that's why at
I
62, I won't be working for anybody except myself. I'm done with that. I will not work for anybody past 62 except myself. I will have my virtual platform up and running in other countries. I'm hoping to reach every continent on this planet to help people. I
mm,
really am,
yeah.
and I hope and I pray that um my technique and my, like I said, unconventional, mythologies and the way that I do things, I do see some techniques. They're starting to change the professionals,
Mhm,
our scholarly world. They really are starting to see that recovery is an inside job and that it is
mm,
those who have already been through it and became these professionals with this life experience. And now they're saying
mhm,
peer support, empowerment specialists, and all those things. Oh, yeah. And they're getting paid more than the clinical teams, the clinical world, the
mhm,
ones that went to school and got all these degrees and letters and numbers behind their name, you know? And
mhm,
so I don't care about all that stuff. All I care is about helping someone stay clean the rest of their life and get it that you never, ever, never, ever, ever can ever use any mind mood altering substances again, including alcohol, not 6%,
Right.
not 2%, not 1%, not old dudes, not champagne, not a marijuana, not a cigarette. You have to give it all up the rest of your life. That's how changing your life looks.
Right. Right. Well, it's that shadow work, and I love how you say it's an inside job. I mean, I read tons of work about shadow work and inner journey and in meeting your trauma face to face and walking through it and releasing it, and so I help people with all of that. But I love how you say it's an inside job, because it absolutely is. If I'm not
Yes,
working it from the inside out, it's useless. It's face value.
you get ready. If you're not going inside to address your source of discontent with the cognitive distortions and traumatic life's experiences just lying there, growing and growing and
Mhm.
growing, because unaddressed trauma becomes compound trauma. It's one after another. And then you find yourself connecting with other spirits, people, just as
Right.
unhealthy as you are. And
As you
then
are.
it just, you're on this cycle. You're just on this cycle, you know.
Mm.
Break that cycle. Come and see me. I'll help you break it. I'll point it
Right.
out to you, and then
Yeah.
I will help you break it. And then
Yeah.
the generational curse will be broken.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Can't do it without
Yeah. I mean,
professionals, without someone else. You cannot do it without a professional or without another person in recovery
hmm
walking with you. Because anybody that's
right.
not an addict or anybody that didn't have these life's experiences, you'll find yourself manipulating them and running circles around them. It ain't gonna work.
Absolutely.
So come on over, see Doc
Absolutely.
B, so she can help you. I'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yep. When I was in the corporate world and I was a sales manager and I would hire salespeople, if I knew that they had and I know this is terrible, but if I knew that they were in recovery and had a past addiction, I knew they would be a good salesperson, because they're thinking 12 to 15 steps ahead about anything else anybody's thinking about. And they can maneuver their way
Yes,
around, and they can sell it, because their mind's just, constantly going.
absolutely.
And then when their mind's not pickled, or,
That's
on something, then their mind's spinning even faster, and they get more excited about these things and want to just, oh, you've got so many gifts and so much experience and so much passion about what you want to do, and I can see this huge vision around you, and that's why I wanted to have you on tonight, and just to talk to you about where you've been and where you're going. And I was going to talk about like near death experiences, but our subject kind of went elsewhere, where I think that we really needed to go, because spirit is within us, and
yes,
pulling that consciousness out and that inside
yes,
job and doing the work. That's life. That's helping us to recover whatever is thrown our way,
yes,
you know and you're that champion with leading the flag, and I love that you're international now, and you've got 3
absolutely.
books out, and you've decided that, what, I'm not going to be status quo. I'm going to put my own sign out and work for myself. you know you're on a mission.
That's right.
So, Doc B,
Absolutely. And that's what I did.
if
Yes,
someone
I am.
wants to,
I really am.
yeah, yeah, it's just it's amazing to me when I hear your story, and I've heard your story a couple times, and every time I hear it, it hits me a little bit different. I mean, the and I don't remember
Yeah.
which sea it was that you woke up from, and you had the kiss from spirit, from angels on your cheek, that you didn't have before,
Oh,
the little
yeah.
heart that's on your
That was
face.
cancer.
I mean, that's
Cancer.
God, that's spirit, that's
Yep.
angels saying, "Wake up, sleeping beauty.
Yes.
We've got stuff for you to do." You
Yes.
know? So if someone wants
Yes.
to get
That was
in touch
cancer.
with you,
Radiation treatment.
yeah, that was from radiation? Okay. And it's the shape of a heart, for gosh sakes. Hmm. No coincidences.
I
So if some
know.
So if someone wants to get in
Yes.
touch with you, Doc B, how do they find you? And is there any closing things that you want to say before we end tonight?
And so the only thing I want to say in closing is that you don't have to suffer from addiction or mental health. You're not alone. And all you have to do is you can call me or you can reach out. My website is www.author, be like boy.com, authordocb.com, just like my name is up there. And you can also reach out to Doc B's Behavior Recovery and Coaching Solutions, LLC at gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm all of them. Rabbit, I'm on Google. You can Google my name, Psychology Today. I'm on Psychology Today, Felecia Burton, and that's with 2 E's, Felecia Burton, Burton. And then you can call my
Okay.
phone at 404-482-2666.
Okay. Well, Felicia, thank you so much for joining me tonight. A shout out to your granddaughter for her birthday. You got a birthday girl in the
Happy
house.
birthday, Glamour. Happy
So we
birthday,
got to say
Glam.
happy
Grandma
birthday to
love
her.
you.
But thank you so much
Yes.
for joining me tonight. I so enjoy your energy and your story. And maybe we'll take time on another podcast and have you back. But for tonight, I pray that each and every one of you out there has learned something. And I pray that you are living the life you love and loving the life you live. If not, you're the only one that can change it. And if you need help, reach out to Doc B. Good night. Thank you.
This has been Connecting to Spirit with Stacey. Tune in each week as Stacey delves into the journey of life, healing, and spiritual connection, inviting listeners to open their hearts, clear their minds, and create the life they love. Right here, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.